They may have survived the biggest monsters we have ever seen and fought battles that we thought they could not face. However, when it comes to real life, Stranger Things cast might find it challenging to cope with the rules they have to follow. And here are some of those crazy rules that the cast members have to follow. Make sure you subscribe to Riveted to get information on everything about Stranger Things. Number 10, no social media. This is quite a common rule in any production for cast members and the crew. Every actor is reminded to watch what they post on social media. Anything that might jeopardize the smooth flow of the show and the suspense the show intends to achieve is strictly forbidden. No actor is allowed to post anything about the show on social media unless they are permitted to do so. In fact, each Stranger Things actor was given a document that has everything that they can and cannot post on the social media accounts concerning the show. Posting anything that involves the show, either the set, scenes, or the production process, can get an actor sued or even fired. It has even become a norm that actors have to be reminded regularly on the use of phones at work or even at home. So if you're thinking of being a part of any Netflix production, you might have to start training yourself on posting less information about your job on social media. Number 9. If there's one strict rule the Stranger Things cast has to follow is the do not wear your own makeup rule. They're told to come to work with a freshly scrubbed face with no makeup at all. Millie Bobby Brown was a victim of this rule at one time. She once came on Stranger Things set with a face fully covered in glitter. This sent everyone into a frenzy, and it forced the makeup team to try and take it off. The process took almost 50 minutes, which consequently delayed the shoot. She, however, in her defense, said that she had no idea where all the glitter came from. The cast members are forced to follow this rule to make them look the part. The show is set in the 1980s, and in those days, makeup of this era was not in use. This rule must be paying off because the characters actually look the part, which is fantastic. 8. Be careful about what you say during interviews. If you are a Stranger Things fan, you are definitely aware of how hilarious these kids are. Almost every television talk show wants a piece of them on their shows. As much as they would want to share everything that is in their minds to their fans and audience at large, some of them are scared because of the binding rules they have to follow. At one point in an interview with Cinema Blend, Francesca Real, who plays Heather in Stranger Things, said that she was scared of Netflix and their binding contracts. They're expected to be silent on certain things about the show. They are even supplied with numerous sheets with detailed information on what they can and cannot talk about in any given interview. If you've been keen with the interviews the Stranger Things cast have had, you must have realized that the information they mostly provide is about the things we have already seen or just some vague answers. Well, it's not just Netflix. Many productions are very keen when it comes to what actors should and should not say during interviews. Number 7, do not cut your hair. This rule is quite specific to some characters, especially to Harrington, played by Joe Keery. The Duffer Brothers rules have to be kept if you are to feature in any of their productions. Joe Keery has no option but to keep his hair intact unless he's no longer part of the Stranger Things family. Joe, in an interview, said he thought that Netflix was controlling his life with strict rules on his hair. I guess it paid off in the end because fans have fallen deeply in love with his hair. From season to season, his hair has somehow taken a life of its own. As for Millie Bobby Brown, she had to cut her hair during the first season, and it kept growing as the season progressed. Now she has a full head of hair. Netflix is particularly keen on the hair to pull the 80s look, which makes the show more convincing. But come on, Netflix. I'm sure you can afford a nice wig for poor Joe Keery. Number 6, be in shape. Abs and muscles were actually not a common element for most people in the 80s, but people were still keen on staying healthy and being in shape. Characters in Stranger Things are not supposed to look like they just stepped out of a fitness class to model for the 21st Century magazine. You might have realized that it was easy for characters like Hopper to fit in the 80s because of his physique. Well, for Dacre Montgomery, he had to lose the abs and find a well-balanced body to fit his role as a lifeguard. According to the production guidelines, his body shape was just not real for the 80s. Other characters in the show had no problems with this because they had no scenes which required them to be topless. In any case, their costumes that were relevant during the 80s would actually hide their otherwise worked-out bodies. Number 5, dress the part. The Duffer Brothers, who are producers of the show, are strict when it comes to dressing. Stranger Things cast members are not only advised to get their minds to the 80s, but they are also taken through the style of dressing during the time. Unfortunately for this young cast, there's not enough options for dressing or fashion when it comes to the 80s era. They, however, do enjoy adorning the colors that come with the dressing. Joe Keery at one time said that the jeans from the 80s were extremely stiff and different as compared to what they are used to these days. Well, the cast, Joe Keery included, have no option as baggy jeans were not a trend at the time, and therefore they will have to do with what is available, at least to be realistic. Joe had to run around to get used to the jeans while playing his role as Steve. The rest of the costumes have had a lot of comfortable options, though. In Season 3, he had nothing to worry about as his costuming changed from the 80s tight-fitting jeans to Scoop Ahoy costumes that involved blue shorts, which are not as tight as the jeans. 4. Conflicting schedules are not allowed. It might be fun to book as many gigs as possible for actors, but it can, however, get one in trouble if they affect the production in the process. If you are not an aspiring Netflix actor, just make sure your gigs do not cause schedule conflicts, as it might get you sacked or sued for breach of contract. One person who almost fell victim of this was Finn. He was already cast to play Richie on It before being given the role of Mike in Stranger Things. Well, he was a lucky man because the production of It was delayed and it was pushed back for a whole year. This freed up his schedule and saw him play both roles without delaying any of the productions. Number 3, work as a unit. In any production or company, workers are bound to get into arguments and conflicts with each other. Well, for the Stranger Things actors, this is no strange thing. They are, however, encouraged to work together as a united front. With long working days and a lot of time spent together, a lot of drama and issues are the norm, and some might even end up getting physical. They have, however, been trained to keep things as professional as possible. The Stranger Things actors are advised not to talk ill of their fellow actors, as it may cause problems when it comes to working. Netflix maintains this because it is argued that it causes a lot of unnecessary attention to things that don't matter or add value to the main course, which is the show. This strict rule is the reason as to why we have not heard any disputes between the cast, producers, and directors of the Stranger Things show. It, however, does not mean that the show is clear of any disputes. We must commend them for managing disputes and actually keeping it away from the fans of the Stranger Things show as well as critics of the same. Number 2, password-protected screeners. This rule doesn't apply to Netflix shows only, but also other different productions. During an interview with Cinema Blend, Francesca Real brought to light some of the precautions Netflix takes to prevent leaks about the show. It is quite amazing the lengths Netflix goes to prevent these leaks. All the screeners provided to the cast before the show's release are password protected, and each cast member has his or her own password. This goes to ensure that if there are any leaks, it can be traced back to whoever leaked it. It's actually a good thing since it makes the cast discreet with the information they give out. In a normal working environment, you would not wish to disclose your company's secrets as it might get you into trouble, right? Moreover, no one likes spoilers, especially if it's your favorite show like Stranger Things. Might be a difficult rule for most of them, but Francesca Real goes on and says, "It is really nice because I would hate for something to get out early and spoil it for everyone because it's an interesting season and so much does happen." Number 1, no looking at each other. It's not only the cast that goes through the agony of following strict rules. For the other Netflix employees, it is forbidden to look at another employee for more than 5 seconds. Hilarious. It is actually viewed as harassment. According to The Sun, the company's crew members are also banned from asking their colleagues for their phone numbers. One of the on-set runners told The Sun that looking at anyone longer than 5 seconds is considered creepy. Another outrageous rule the employees are forced to follow is, you must not ask for someone's number unless they have given permission for it to be distributed. Whoa. And if you see any unwanted behavior, report it immediately. Others include, do not give lingering hugs or touch anyone for a lengthy period, do not ask out a colleague more than once if they have already turned you down, and do not flirt with a colleague once they have said they are not interested in you. Well, that does seem like a lot to follow, and we are sure there are more rules the actors and other employees are not even allowed to talk about. Which among the rules is the craziest? Let us know, and remember to stay tuned to Riveted, because we publish amazing videos daily.